Hey, are we live? I guess so. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this is an interview. I'm Jessica Northey with AudioPress, and this is an interview with Casey Conroy. And we're super excited to have her. She's very popular in the Orlando area, and I just want to get to know her a little bit more. And you can visit her at, I think it's imcaseyconroy.com. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to present you and to everyone. So the first question, we're just going to dive right into it. So, what have what has been your greatest challenges with pursuing a new genre-defying sound? Because I went to your website and
Goodbye.
listening to all the music, and of course, and definitely a new sound. And I have to say I like it. It's like an old and new. It's a combination. Genre-defying is a great way to describe it. But I'd like to know a little bit more about your challenges with that.
Yeah, of course. So probably everything that you heard was the Impressions in the Sound album, right?
Right.
So yeah, so the funny thing is when I wrote the bio, Impressions in the Sound was a 3-year project we were working on. So a lot of those songs on that EP, I was like 14, 13 when I wrote. So you would imagine that from 13 and 14 to 17, 18 now, uh, I've evolved a lot as an artist. So when I was writing that part of the bio and I said genre defining, it specifically talks about kind of the age that I am now as a songwriter, and a lot of like if you when people come to live shows, they can kind of feel the new sound is a little bit different than Impressions of the Sound, and it's a little bit. I would think that Impressions of the Sound is it's kind of like a more rock alternative edge kind of thing. The new sound, to me, it really does embody a genre-defying sound, and I say that because to me, it's a result of a huge range and span of influences. So I love 80s music. I'm a huge 80s person, and today I'm into everything. You know, everything from hip hop to experimental music to you know R&B and so much. So I think the challenges of creating an genre, it's genre defying sound, it's the same as anybody would have, but I actually feel it's more liberating. You know, there's no rules and there's no limits and there's no structures, and it's you write from emotion, and to me that's very easy to do, you know? And I think with the problem that I run that you would not problem, but the challenge that you find most difficult is actually taking it back a little bit, you know, because you kind of, it's hard to find the line sometimes. You know, sometimes we'll find ourselves doing a track that's 7 minutes, and you're like, wait, I don't know if we can really just put out you know, like we try to find the the line between pop structures and experimental music, and I think sometimes that can be a little challenging, but it's the most fun part. So it balances each other out. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I like long answers. No, okay, so no, that's a great answer. I know a lot of people who are doing a more experimental type of music now, and honestly, regarding the longer song structures, I'm not sure if you've noticed this or know about it yourself, but a lot of pop stars like Justin Timberlake, for example, his album has a lot of songs on them that are very long, and they have, I don't know song structure terms, but they have moments where it's just a long instrumental.
Yeah.
And from the marketing standpoint, it's pretty genius because if you're going to be mostly having your music on streaming services, you're going to get paid more the longer the song plays. So why not make a longer song, right?
Oh, okay.
So
Right. We
I
will.
say go for that 7 minute song. Uh, and I just found out that YouTube has changed their format. So instead of getting paid like per clicks, like instead of someone being on your video for 5 seconds and you're not going to get credit for a click, you'll get credit if they watch it all the way through, the longer that they stay on your video for. So I'm not sure if you knew that. I just found that out. I thought that was really
We're
interesting.
gonna we're gonna write. 8 minutes. We're gonna just keep doing it. 8 minutes.
Yes. Okay, so the second question is so since moving into this musical space with, well, impressions of the sound, now I know you wrote it when you were younger. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
So, so more talking about your fan base, because so you have an experimental electronic sound and pop-driven song structure. So do you think you're catering more to a younger fan base, or do you have a wide range, or do you know?
Yeah, I think the cool thing that we found is um, our sound really it connects with a very wide range of audiences. So um, we have a lot of younger fans all the way to we have this one fan that comes to every show, and I think he's like probably like in his 60s or something, and he comes to every. He's our best fan. He always comes to every
That's awesome.
gets all the albums and it's really cool. It's cool for me to see as an artist that people can relate to our music, whether they're have 10 or 11 and all the way up to 70, 80, and that's really cool for me to see. And I think it really shows the power in music. It transcends more than age and race and things like that. And I think that's really cool because I think we definitely see that in our music and in our shows. And that's my favorite part because you wonder whenever I go to shoot shows, my favorite thing to do is to look at the demographic and see, oh, this artist, who do they bring out? What kind of crowd, what kind of ages, and for me that's a really cool part of music. Who connects with this kind of music, and to see that there's a very wide range of people that can relate and connect to what you feel is a really, really cool thing for us. So yeah, it's definitely a wide range. Sure.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So how do you, just kind of stemming off of that, do you have merchandise, and how do you decide? If so, how do you decide
Yeah, we
how
actually
to?
don't have any merch right now. We yeah, we don't have any merch right now, but I think we've been talking a lot about what are some small things we can bring to shows. Just something that people can take with them for to remember or to promote or and definitely t-shirts. I love t-shirts. I know they're kind of they're just very very stereotypical of merch, but I love them. I think they're very efficient and cool. I love t-shirts. I always
Me too.
everybody wears.
I know. We're getting AudioPress t-shirts, so hopefully I'll be wearing
Oh
them
really?
in my
Yeah.
interviews soon. Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, t-shirts like the classic
Yeah, exactly. Classic.
merchandise. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, you can stem away from it. You could have like the t-shirt and then maybe a tank top or something for the
Yeah,
girls.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I was just kind of curious because when I'm always asking from a marketing standpoint, so I'm like, well,
Yeah.
how do you market to everyone? So, which is really
No.
challenging, but at the same time, it's great to have older and a newer and younger demographic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Older and younger.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So next question is, when can we expect your next album, Moonbeams? I know your
Yeah.
website says the summer, but summer's almost here. So
Well, we were hoping to release Moonbeams as an EP first, and then come with the record by the end of the year. So yeah, we're shooting for the end of summer for the EP. So 4 or 5 songs, and kind of like a single type thing. We'll release some singles and then put it out as an EP, and let the EP kind of build and get a little bit of traction, and then come with the record in maybe December, the end of November, December.
okay, I do see a trend where a lot of artists are releasing EPs or singles.
Mhm.
Do you feel like that's a good
Oh yeah,
strategy?
yeah. I for me as an artist, I mean, for me as a music lover, I love when artists put out singles or EPs because it kind of pulls you along longer, So I like in 1975, they're one of my favorite bands, and what I love about them is they put out an album a few years ago, and I was a huge fan of that album, and it was one sound, and they came out with a single, and it was a totally new thing, and they came with another single and another single, and so by the time the record came out, you already had kind of gotten a feel and a vibe for where they were. music and things like that. So you a lot of times like sometimes with an album it's like a lot, a lot to digest with an album, and I think with singles is cool because you already kind of have a initial concept of where they are, what they're feeling, what they're hoping to get across to their fans, and I like that a lot. So, and I also like because with singles you almost get to spend more time on the songs. You really get to like dig into them and you study them, or just not study them like in that kind of way, but you really get to dig in deep to the songs.
That's a good point. Instead of just rushing through, oh, I need 10 songs or whatever.
Yeah, and that helps us too. In creating the music, we get to spend a little bit more, like more time. We don't with the album, because by the end of summer, if we were creating an album, we probably already have 4 songs finished for the album anyway. We just would be waiting to release them on the album. So instead of going 6 months with no content, we could have give them a little bit of things in between so that we're not just doing nothing. You know what I mean? For all that time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. It's a good strategy. So, next question. Do you have any plans for a tour?
No, we don't have anything set in stone yet for a tour. We're hoping not to do that until we have the record out, and then once the record's out, we can start looking for that. But we're going to be playing a lot of shows this summer. We're trying to do a lot of, Tampa, Miami, and Orlando, kind of building up the local scene first, and then expanding a little bit. So we're planning on doing a lot of that. But yeah, we're not looking to do a tour until after the record's out.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, going more into the social media realm, is there anything that you do to interact with your fan base through social media? Do you have a strategy?
I mean, I wouldn't say strategy as in formula, but for me, I love social media because I think it's so personal. Social media can be a very personal thing for artists, and it's one thing I love. I look for an artist that I love. I always go to their social media because I think for me, it's just one more little edge into the artist. It's one more. It kind of gives that one extra level into the artist's life, and for me, I love social media for that reason. And if you go on my social media, I like to do a lot of like clips, like cover clips or writing clips, and it's a way for me to kind of let people into my writing process. And I also use it a lot to show my range of inspiration. So if I'm listening to Spotify and there's a song that I'm really feeling, I'll just screenshot it and I'll post it and I'll be like, hey, if you want to check this song out, this is what I've been listening to. I like to do a lot of covers of this songs I have stuck in my head or songs that really inspire me. But also I think it's cool because it's a great way to promote yourself, a great way to like put out shows and put out content from shows so people that can't make it to your live show can kind of see what you do live. But also it's just, when I'm with my friends, I like to add that little personal edge where people can be like, oh, I feel like I know her just a little bit more. And to me, as an artist, that's super important to me. I think in order for people to be able to connect with my music, they have to be able to connect with me as a person first. And I think that's why social media is really important for me.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm curious, what's your favorite social media? Like, where can we find you mostly?
Yeah, I'm I'm lame. Like I'm kind of lame on the whole Snapchatting thing because I don't have a Snapchat. So I'm a little behind on that. I know probably everybody would say Snapchat, but I love Instagram. For me, it becomes so arts. There's such a great artsy scene in the Instagram realm, and I love that a lot. Like all the people that I follow, I get so much show inspiration from, or video inspiration from, or outfit inspiration from Instagram. But also, I just love being able to put videos or yeah, I'm a big picture person, so I love Instagram.
Cool. Yeah, I like that about Instagram too.
Yeah, I love it. I know, I'm lame, but I love it. I know.
No, you're not lame. A lot of people love Instagram.
No, I know a lot of people love Instagram, but I feel like now that's kind of like the old thing. Like
Oh, things are
how, like,
changing so fast.
I know, but I always felt like that was Facebook, and then Facebook kind of changed to Instagram. That Instagram kind of changed to Snapchat. But I'm still a big Facebooker too. I love the videos from Facebook and articles. I'm a huge article nerd.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah.
Did you know that Facebook is going to come out with like a Facebook Live?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that it was like oh, what's the live video app there was again with the P or something? Oh my gosh. Oh,
Periscope?
yeah, Periscope. And I heard it's supposed to be kind of like a Periscope thing.
Hmm. Yeah, I kept hearing about that when I went to Playlist Live. I went
Oh,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, at the music panel, and one of the guys was promoting it pretty big. But I was like, really? Because then you got Google Hangouts Live, Periscope, and now you got Facebook Live, and so you can really connect with your audience in so many ways.
Yeah, it's cool because
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of artists doing like live shows and stuff like that on Facebook, and I know they did that on Periscope too. Like sometimes we would just be jamming and put on Periscope, you know.
Yeah, it's really neat. I know when I used to be a member of the Grammy U,
Oh yeah.
the yeah, we got to see some of the. Or I saw Ziggy Marley do like practice before they went live. Just a small
Oh,
group of us got to do that. I
yeah.
thought it was so neat seeing how they get to set up everything.
Yeah,
Um,
that's yeah, exactly. That's what I love about it too.
yeah, so
Um,
it's like getting to see, artists out there. You guys might think nobody wants to see that, but we do. We do. We love it. We want to see the process, you know.
cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
um, so my next question is, I noticed you do perform with live musicians a lot. I did actually. I probably didn't get to meet you, but I know you were at the Grammy Showcase last year for the Florida Music Festival, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah, because I saw your stuff out on a table, and I didn't get to meet you because I was too busy running around. But I noticed in the back of my mind, I saw you on stage, and I noticed you have all these live, real instruments, and I just was really impressed with that. I know people work with live bands, but you had like string instruments, and I'm always like really interested in that kind of stuff. So tell me more about like how is there challenges with that? Do you mix people? Do you play with the same people? Like how does that process work?
Yeah. So well, I have so Willie, that's my guitar player, and he is kind of like my creative director, production manager, but he does music direction and he plays guitar, and he's always with me. So he kind of always handles the band, and he's like our staple, and we've been playing together forever. And then my drummer June, he's also our staple in the band, and I always have him. But sometimes um, bass and the other instruments, sometimes our working musicians are traveling all the time, and um, a lot on passion projects and stuff like that. It's very hard to lock down one musician because people they have to work obviously and stuff like that. So we do we do have to change the band, but we try to keep it as consistent as possible. So Willie and June are almost always there, and then we'll have like one or two people for bass, or have a person for keys, and if we have to, sometimes we'll just change it out, but we'll try to keep the same formula, the same setup. And right now our setup is we're trying to keep a consistent formula of bass, guitar, drums, and keys. And I play keys too. And honestly, I think, when you come and you see our show, it's not just all about me. It's a product of so many things. When you see us live, and if you fall in love with the project or me as an artist, it's so much of a team effort, and it's such a product of the people that work. But I would say behind the scenes, there's not that much behind the scenes, but from the managers, my dad, he is my manager, but he also does so much, so much, so much for the music. And my band, they're everything. We are so much of what we are because of my band, and I could not do what I do without them. We're so, 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 so blessed. We're so blessed to have them. And they add such an incredible dynamic to our show. A, because they're incredible seasoned musicians, very great at what they do, but they all have their own styles. And also they have their own energies. And when we come together, I think the energy that happens on stage between me and the band, I think that's what makes live shows great. Like I think that's my favorite part about live shows. And you know, I love when people play parts live that you wouldn't expect them to play. A lot of the music we're doing now is very synthesized. It's a lot of, we do a lot of synths and drum pads and things like that. But when, June is such an incredible, incredible drummer, and he'll just come and he'll play all these drum parts that we play on the pads. And seeing him play that it brings those things to life, and we have a lot of lines in our music, like synth lines or guitar lines, and when Willie will play a line that we wrote on the keyboard guitar, on the synth, on the MIDI guitar, there's such a life to that line, and he'll put his own style and he'll put his own heart into that line, and it has a new meaning, and our, Abel, he plays keys for us, and he'll play a lot of synth parts live and a lot of the pads and strings and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, we're all moving together to create, a very live and passionate piece of art. And I think that's my favorite part about live shows is it's such a beautiful thing, really, and it's so fun. I would not want to be performing without them. I think having their energy, and we feed off of each other, and I think that was what makes live shows so great. Oh, sorry, I can't hear you. I think you have your mute on.
Sorry, I had my mute button on. Yeah, I do that because it helps you sound better, but I forgot to turn it off. So that's funny. You gotta love the live stuff, right? But that was my last question, but it kind of brought me into wanting to know a little bit more about your vocal ability. You have a very unique vocal sound, and I'm just curious where you got your training from, or how much you work on that, or
Yeah. So I've been singing my whole since I could talk. So my dad is a musician, and he used to create tracks and write songs. And when I was 4, he would have, even when I was 3 and I didn't even know how to create words, I would just kind of like make sounds on the tracks. And then he's from Ireland, so we used to sing a lot of like Irish folk songs and stuff like that when I was really, really, really little. So I've always been singing. And a few years ago, I entered a singing competition kind of out on a whim because I used to suffer from really, 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 really bad stage fright. And so I never sang in public. But I was just like, okay, I'm going to take a risk here, and I'm going to sing in public. And it was kind of a God-given thing. And there was a voice coach there, and she found me, and she said, I'd love to work with you. And so I started working with her, and I vocal trained with her for a while. And since then, I've had her, one other vocal coach, and now my vocal coach I'm with now. I'm with her. We train every other week. But I think the cool thing now is I've really come to own my vocals and know my vocals inside and out, and I think that's very important. And play it. And so now it's kind of when I go to her, it's just a great way for me to be like, hey, over these last 2 weeks, this happened. Can you tell me why that's happening? Or I'm doing this with my voice, and I'm not fully owning it yet. I want to do this. Can you tell me how to do that? So it has changed a little bit from and I'm always learning how to sing. I'm always learning, and I'm always becoming a better singer. But it's become less of a learning all the technical things, but now it's really me owning my own vocalship. That's not a word, but I don't know the word for it. But
it's now a word. It's
now it's a vocalship, Brandon. So yeah, and so now it's kind of in that space, which is really, really cool. We right now we'll go to lessons, and me and her both will learn a lot. We're really digging into crazy things, and sometimes I'll be listening to a track that has a crazy like 12-note run, and we'll just sit there and we'll try to pick out part by part, or Lately I've been really obsessed. I love Rihanna's new album, and I'll sit down and I'll listen on my headphones to all the nuances of her voice. And we'll sit down. My vocal coach, her name is Ella, and she's amazing. And we'll sit down and we'll say, well, why would she do that at that part, and how is she achieving that? And I think it's a really cool, critical way of looking at vocals, and that's kind of the space we are now, learning how to do new things with our voice and improve on the things that are already there. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic now, but we're always learning, always getting better, always doing vocal technique exercises every day. So every day she does this really cool straw technique she has, and you have like a little cocktail straw, and you do like little like for the straw. You sing like the Star Spangled Banner. It did a little straw. So we have like I'm always it's a muscle, so I'm always doing my muscle workouts. But yeah, but now it's a really cool dynamic, which I love.
That's awesome.
I thought it was, it's a cool thing that you would ask that when talking about the band, because the more that I, in music, the more that you realize that your voice is an instrument, and the cool thing of, so I love that you asked that, because you do need to own your voice the same way, June owns drums or Willie owns guitar, or, so it's all a very relative thing. And when you think about your voice in that capacity, it's cool the things you can do with it, and the ways you would apply it that you wouldn't before. So that's cool.
Definitely. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it as your instrument. I mean, it is. It's what do they call that? It's really your vocal pipes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think kind of things we've already covered. My social media, which would be IamKConroy.com, always no, but so yeah, I love when I get new followers on Instagram. It's cool being able to connect with people, or on Facebook. If like when people like our Facebook, that really helps us a lot, a lot. Getting shows, a lot of it's on social media numbers. So when people help us out with those, it really, really means way more than they think it would. So definitely social media, and to look out for our new songs. And we're going to be playing a lot this summer. So you're interested in coming to see us, I'll definitely be posting about it on social media, or on my website, which is just imkcconroy.com. And so yeah, that's it. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And again, I'm Jessica Northey with AudioPress.us. We have .us because we have us in the United States, and then we have a whole other chapter in Germany. So if you're German and you want to connect with German artists, let me know. We can hook you up with that too. And we actually just transformed from just doing websites for artists to a lot more of a dynamic, because we just want you guys to know we support independent artists, and we really love the idea of artists empowering themselves. And also now it's mostly a requirement. If you do want to get signed one day, you have to do a lot of your own development. And also, just so you guys know, I might say this a lot, but A&Rs definitely use YouTube to seek out talent, and it has a lot to do with your personality and your music. So get on YouTube, get on social media, get your website. And that's it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Casey, again.
Thank
Let's
you.
say one more time goodbye before we sign off.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.